there's got to be a recount. If there's a 1% difference in Mississippi or Montana, there's a recount, right?
Yeah, so we still don't have real concessions from the other two top candidates, Maya Wiley and Catherine Garcia. Garcia did not say anything last night after Eric Adams was called the winner, or called the projected winner by the AP. And Wiley came out with a half statement saying, I thank my supporters, but let's see what's going to happen next.
Shelly, is it too early to ask the question, what is the message that New York City has just sent to progressives in this party?
No, I don't think it's too early, because you saw the top two people on top, Eric Adams and Catherine Garcia, both with an extremely moderate viewpoint. We want to get crime, we want to get public safety, and we want to get, quality of life issues back in New York. A mayor who can govern and get stuff done, rather than this kind of ideological vision that we've seen really dominate City Hall for the last 8 years. So yes, Maya Wiley, who was the progressive candidate, did have quite a big showing, but clearly it wasn't enough, because not only did she not get the first choice votes, but really Catherine Garcia was the one who got the majority of the second, third, and fourth and fifth choice votes as well.
Well, let's talk policy and what needs to get done. Governor Cuomo, with just a shocking statistic from over the weekend. Over the 4th of July weekend, more people in New York State were shot than died of COVID. Now, there's two stories there, of course, the success on tackling COVID eventually after this vaccine, but also the shootings in this state, in this city as well, Shelly. Just how much needs to be done?
Yeah, I mean, overall crime in general in New York is still down from, historic highs in decades ago. So this is not the 1970s, as much as people want you to believe it. But shootings are up and continue to be up. Governor Cuomo yesterday called it and declared a disaster emergency to unlock some funds to hit crime fighting. Eric Adams has now been elected on the singular issue of crime. So now at the day one in office, if he does not do something about it, it is going to look quite poorly on those campaign promises.
Yeah. I mean, Shelly, obviously Cuomo has his own agenda. I am curious about the breakdown of how this election shook out here, because we talk about the embrace of Eric Adams, and the people, at least the districts we know that voted for him, was much, much different than the folks who voted for Catherine Garcia. And they did seem to be voting for two separate things.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all of Manhattan, except for Harlem, it was all Catherine Garcia land. If you look at the, inner boroughs of Brooklyn, your richer neighborhoods, that was also Catherine Garcia. Where you saw Adams' take is, build real coalitions around the city in Staten Island, in Brooklyn, in Harlem. So, there's definitely a divide from income perspective, but you talk to a lot of those folks who ranked Adams second because they were kind of on that same vision. Clean up the city so we can get it back to working again.
Yeah, and I think perspective is the key word here. I think there are a lot of people in this city who look at it in different ways here, and, hopefully Adams will do a little bit to address the crime and make it safe for Tom to go back below 59th Street once again. I am curious on the progressive question here, Shelly. The idea that the city wanted someone who was a little bit more of a taskmaster, someone who was a little bit more moderate. When you get down below the mayor itself here, and you look at Brad Lander getting the comptroller's position, when you look at Alvin Bragg getting the Manhattan DA position, these are definitely sort of tie-dyed progressives here. And I'm wondering, what message does that send that voters were willing to sort of go for the progressives at that level, but not necessarily at the mayoral level?
Right. And Adams' mayoralty is going to be nothing if not interesting, because not only, has he made these grand promises, but he is, as you mentioned, going up against and having to deal with and build coalitions with what's probably going to be the most progressive city council in history, probably for the first time majority female and most diverse, as well as a progressive public advocate, a progressive comptroller, progressive DA. So, it's going to be tussles between between those two groups, and they're going to have to figure out a way forward together.
What is the relationship of this former captain of the New York Police Department and his brethren, the NYPD? Do we know?
So that, I think, is going to be the most interesting thing. He has this aura of being this cop, right? But for his 22 years there, he was, stirred a lot of controversy there and fought against it. So one promise he has made is, I'm going to bring aboard the first female police chief, which was going to be interesting to see if he's going to bring someone from inside the force or from outside the force, and from maybe even outside New York City, as we've seen. And so, how he deals with the police and and carries out those promises,
Yeah.
he's talked a big game.